So we'll start the meeting. So I will call the meeting of the Long Beach Tree Board for January 5th of 2022 to order. Jan Roberts, our secretary, would you kindly do the roll call? Jan, you got to turn your audio on. Your microphone is turned off, Janice Roberts. There you go.
Dr. Uhas, having called the meeting to order. Jane Kroll.
Here.
Janice Brown.
Here.
Ellen.
Lynch is here.
Ellen Lynch, you're here.
Ellen, you're muted. Ellen Lynch, you're muted. If just so we could hear your voice.
All right, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. Janice Roberts is here. Dr. Uhas is here. All members are in attendance.
And we have Mr. and Mrs. Burke, and we have honored guest Anita Remigis. So we could get that on the record too. All right, next item is the approval of last month's minutes. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns about last month's minutes? If
Thank
not,
you so much for doing the minutes. They're beautiful.
that's Jan Roberts does a great job.
Thank you.
If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I motion.
Do I hear a second?
I motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And there's no one to object. So the minutes are accepted. Now for the public comment. We have a public person here. So any public comments? Going once.
Hi, it's Anita Remigis. I just want to say thank you. One of my questions that has come up over the years, I also serve on park board, so with Janice, and Janice is not on the park board, but she's at all our meetings because of the Beach Garden Club. So something that has been conversation with neighbors for years is the state of the trees in Long Beach. So I'm just kind of tossing out there, is there any way to do a tree count? Is there, you see trees with tags. I don't know. I don't know what the age of the majority of our trees are. Trees are getting cut down clearly because there's so many lots being cleared, but it's just something to throw out there. It's something I don't know that Park Board would entertain, but I don't know what your budget is. So here I am, kind of throwing that out there.
Okay, so what was the question? So I understand you.
I don't know. I just wonder what is there any way to, do we have mature trees that need to be replaced? Are there trees in town that I know that there was the one tree cut down by the community center, but the community center park, the Beach Garden Club kind of has their eyes on that one. I just wonder if anybody now that we have a tree board ever thinks about anything in the future about how do we figure out how old our trees are? Where are trees? Or are they just because they're on private property, people just take care of them? Are there trees on Long Beach property that could be looked at, that could be replaced, anything like that? It's kind of just an open-ended question, Dr. Uhas, just something that comes up.
Okay.
So not really a question, just kind of a comment, I guess.
Just something to think about. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding Anita? Jan?
May I?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you. Anita, thanks for that question. We have had discussions about that. As you know, the tree ordinance has been, I think, prior to the formation of this constituency of the tree board, the tree ordinance was newly adopted by the town council. In it, it makes provision not for us to do a survey or a count, but it does talk about the difference between the trees that belong to the community, the town, and those that belong to private residences. It does talk about maintenance, which we understand. We, the council, the board, have had a discussion about who does the maintenance, if anyone. It has certainly been a minor part to date, but part of our discussion going forward to propose more vigilance over our trees, to look at them. It does seem to me that a substantial number of the town's trees are older because Long Beach was built in the middle of a very heavy forested area, obviously. So I think I'd invite you to keep attending the meetings if you're really interested, because I think it's something we need to address. As to a budget, at least as I understand it, we don't have any budget right now, but we do have the authority to go to the town council when there is something that we think needs to be addressed. Right now, that happens to be a case-by-case basis. You'll see the Burks are here bringing to our attention an issue with some trees that appear to be on the town property. But I think we will, in the long range, plan on addressing things like maintenance and being more vigilant about where our trees are. I don't think anybody knows exactly all of the town's trees. I hope that answers your question.
It does
I-
answer it, and
I have a
I know
comment.
that the park
Okay,
board
who's talking?
Oh, sorry, thank you, Janice. The park board works closely with the Beach Garden Club, and, you know, whether that's something that we can take on and help the tree board, Janice, that's something we can talk about at some other point. But yes, the meetings are on my calendar, so I'll keep coming, and I'm glad to hear that at least it's on your radar, so thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Is there any other comment regarding Anita? Or
Yes.
who's
Yes.
that? Who's
Jane
speaking?
Kroll.
Yes,
Jane Kroll.
Mrs. Kroll.
The ordinance does talk about hiring a forester to assess the how many trees we have, the health of the tree, and to do exactly what you're asking, Anita. And we frankly have not gotten to that, but and primarily because we do not have a budget. So we're looking into that as speedily as possible.
All right. Anybody
And-
else have any? Yes, Janice Brown.
Yes, Janice Brown. From the beach garden perspective, as Anita indicated, we did type most of the trees in the park area of Long Beach. We didn't age them, but they are identified as to what types of trees, and they are labeled, and we're getting permanent labels so that people will understand the different types of trees that we have. And Anita knows this as well. I've brought up the fact that we really need to get the trees cleaned up and lift the canopy and get all the dead wood out of the park area, because there's plenty of branches that are falling all of the time. So those are things that we can address through the town council.
I have a follow-up to that, Janice. When you talk about the park area, are you only talking about the main park area at stop 24?
The not stop 24, but the park area across from town hall.
Yes.
Yes, with the pavilion and the.
Are you aware that we have other park areas throughout Long Beach?
Yes, yes.
Have those trees been tagged also? Or will
No,
they
they
be?
haven't. The Beach Garden Club has adopted that particular area. I know there's Melrose Park, and there's some other public spaces with rain gardens as well. Some people have asked us to get involved with that, but right now our membership isn't very large. So I'm working with parks to say, okay, we can get a community group together to look at that.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, but I'd like to identify all the parks and have all the trees looked at.
Good
Thank you.
idea.
Anybody else?
No, just a quick comment on Jane Kroll. It's Anita Remages. Stop 24 is being worked on. Again, Beach Garden Club has been really good with that. A lot of the weed trees were cleared out. There is a plan in place to plant dune grass. So anyhow, Stop 24 is being attended to as well by the Park Board and Beach Garden Club.
I know any help is appreciated.
Anyone else? All right. I do have something to say on this real quickly because we're going off. And I think we only have an hour on Dr. LeMay's account. Last month we got cut off. I spent a couple of hours this afternoon reading about good stewardship of trees and forests and the responsibilities of citizens and private property owners and also agents of the community. And there's a lot of responsibility. So I will forward that to our members and Anita via email, the article and the link. I will put it on the agenda next month so we can start talking about it. And again, not to go completely off topic here with the agenda, but I will say this. The Beach Garden Club is more than welcome to help us. And the other thing I want to do is get involved with John Wall and Tom Dolph and maybe set up a workshop, because the idea that we need to monitor these trees that overhang streets for dead branches is important. We're not the people to be doing that. That probably would fall under streets or educating the community to notifying us. So there's a lot to be done there, and look for the article and this topic on the agenda, Anita, in my mind. So it'll be on next month, okay? Any other comments? All right, good, very good. So public comment twice, if there's anybody else, and public comment 3 times. Public comment is closed. Old business. Janice Brown, do you have an update on the cost and planting of the tulip tree?
I contacted Chesterton Feed and Garden again. We'll need to wait until February for the selection of the person to plant. The owner there was reaching out to him again, as I indicated last month. He hasn't called me back. Chesterton Feed and Garden was a little upset by that, so they will work that issue. But with winter time, the landscapers take a couple months around this time to catch up and go to conferences, so they'll get back with me.
Perfect. Okay. I do have a question, Jan. Did we contact the tree man or Christian arborist about planting trees?
I contacted Tree Man. I did not hear back from him. Sorry.
Oh boy, they are busy. I mean,
well, I know he goes deer hunting like everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean by busy. Yeah, they're busy
doing stuff in February.
Okay, so we can kind of look to February. We have time. This isn't the time of year to plant trees anyway. Thank you for that. All right, thanks, Janice. Next item on the agenda, we have a tree removal permit that I forwarded to everyone last month. Mr. and Mrs. Burke asked for a copy of that. We sent it. Did you all have, and it's not final, we can refine it. There are many, many versions out there. But for now, should I continue using it if someone else comes up with a request to take down trees from public property? Does that meet everyone's approval, that tree permit?
Looks
Does
fine to
anybody
me.
remember the tree permit?
I thought it looked fine. Looked good.
I
Okay.
agree. It looks fine with me. It's an initial step for people to take when they have an issue that they want us to think about or address.
Okay, all right. Ellen, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Okay, thank you. And where's Jane? Oh, Jane, there you are. You okay with the permit for now?
I'm looking at it right now. I'm sorry. I really didn't,
That's fine.
it looks fine for now.
Yeah,
So-
it's provisional. We can always fine tune it. There are other ones. I kind of like Chesterton's, but at least we had something when
Sure.
Mr. Burke asked for, so we didn't look like amateurs. All right.
Do you mind if I give a quick comment, having
Yeah.
been?
Yeah. Sure.
Sure, yeah.
I think the document's great too. The only thing is, I would maybe where it says designated town forester's evaluation, I was a little bit confused there, as I was supposed to sign there, or, so it's a minor point, but I didn't know if you as the board was supposed to sign under where it says designated town forester, approve, reject. I'm assuming yes, but it was not totally clear, just as a user of the document. So
I thought, my understanding was that the forester who came out and gave an opinion and a bid and defined the scope of work for the clients, which were you, that was the individual to sign it.
As opposed to our hiring a town forester. Is that
Well,
correct?
that's not the issue. They have one of record, so
yeah,
but
so real quick, it wasn't clear to me what that was asking for, just so
Sure.
you're aware, because you sent
Okay.
it to me, I Now I understand it, but I did not understand that. That's therefore, it's my signature there. It's not the arborist.
Okay. Well, I think either one is right now okay.
Okay.
And, you know, basically the responsible parties for putting it into motion and the specific kind of work that they're doing. So, but thank you. We'll look at it. We'll discuss it. We can continue to refine it. So that is off the new business. Discussion and review of materials sent by Pat and his wife, Kelly, is that?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
okay. And I apologize, Pat. I didn't realize it's Patrick. So,
No, that was not a problem at all.
Burke, in support of the petition to remove 2 cottonwood trees at 1302 Lakeshore Drive. Okay, you're here. You've been invited. We need okay, so I had some questions on my notes that I sent everyone. We need clarification whether the trees in question are on Long Beach property. I think that's been answered. When I made up the agenda, I wasn't sure. Then I think you sent me an email subsequently. That is on Long Beach property, those 2 cottonwoods, correct?
So it is the impression of Steve Fate from, I think you guys all probably know that organization. He's the person that did the survey of the property. I had a conversation with him about 2 weeks ago. And yes, it's his opinion that it is on public property, not on the property that we have the luxury of acquiring.
Janice Roberts, do we need a legal statement from the surveyor, Mr. Tate, who did the survey for the sale? I think we always should have something in writing.
I do think that depending on the outcome of our consideration, and I think there are some other issues or
Yes, there
other
are.
questions that need to be addressed. I wouldn't put feet to the fire to pay for a written opinion from Fate today that those trees are outside of the property line belonging to the Burkes. They appear to be. I looked at what is it, Beeson, whatever that thing is.
Beacon.
Yeah, Beacon, whatever.
And
I looked
Schneider.
at that too, you know,
Beasting.
that picture, and they do appear to be outside of the Burke's property and therefore the town property. But I think there are some other questions that need to be answered, maybe before we take the step of anybody spending money.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I know what you're saying. So I just needed to bring that up to see what the Burkes thought, and you guys think that the trees are on public land at this stage.
Correct.
I think they are, and that's where, you know, I think if in fact, and I'll go this far and say, if in fact it turns out that the trees have to come down, they're full, and I don't know that they do. I'm not an arborist. I can't opine on
All
the
right,
house.
so
But if that's the case, a $15,000 cost.
Jan, we're ahead of ourselves.
Okay, all right.
We're ahead. I know. That's why
Well, but I think like a lawyer, so.
I know, and that's exactly why I asked for your input. Zafar Rizvi just joined us. Zafar, hello. Welcome. Can you hear me? Hello, Zafar. Wow, we popular today. Zafar, can you hear us?
Unmute, Zafar. Unmute, so you can answer the question.
Oh, okay. I always try to be in touch what's happening in our community, and if we can help something. So if somebody going to live in a community should know what's happening. So that's the reason I only joined.
That's perfect. Thank you. You're welcome to be here. So I appreciate you coming. I appreciate Anita too. Yeah, we should all know what's going on. All right. So see, we need clarification to property. All right. Does anybody have any questions for the Burke family?
It's Anita Remages again, sorry. And as part of the park board, there is a stand of cottonwood trees at Stop 16 that the park board has monitored for a number of years. Cottonwood trees provide a lot of drainage, natural drainage. So it might be something that you might want to consider. I can check and see if the park board, I don't know if the Burkes know if anybody else has looked at these cottonwood trees that you said 1302 Lakeshore Drive.
The Burkes actually went to not to give them the runaround, and they're welcome to get information anywhere. And I hear you, Anita.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Burke, cottonwood trees are known to us, especially the beautiful little family of them at Stop 16. They hold a lot of water. And the concern is when they're cut down, basements flood, beaches flood, so on and so forth. So, Anita's right. But Anita, they had gone to the park board first.
Okay.
And then they were referred to us. So in a way, the park board kind of knows about this property. And, Joy is the one that told them, Joy Schmidt, to come to us. So she knows what's going on. And again, the more people that know, we need expertise and input, and, it's to be done, collegially.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Any other questions? I got a couple of more, but I don't want to hog up all of the time here. So I'm Janice Brown. Yeah.
Can I interject for a second? I'm just curious, would it make sense? I know that Patrick sent over the information from the arborist with opinions included. Would it make sense for Pat to summarize that for those on this call who are not aware of what we've learned thus far?
Well, I sent over everything you guys sent to me. It was forwarded to all the members. So they should have been able to see the bid, the description of the scope of work. Everybody on the town board had it forwarded via email after I got it from Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the offer, because sometimes we don't get email gets busy and you can miss one really easily. Ellen?
Can I ask one question about scope of work?
Sure.
At the beginning, just now, somebody said it was 2 trees, although at one point I thought from a photograph that was taken that there were 3 trees, 2 on one side of the property and 1 on the other. And I can't tell what genus or species they are because there's no leaves on the trees. I just take everybody's word for it that the 2 or 3 trees are cottonwood.
Jan, on the west, facing north, facing the lake. I was just out there this morning because I can't get enough of cold frostbite on my hands. So I went and took pictures again. I wanted to clarify the exact same thing you just brought up. And Mr. and Mrs. Burke, correct me if I'm wrong. As you face the property looking north, there are actually 3 conjoined cottonwood trees. And the reason they're a little bit hard to see at first, I thought they were just 2. And from what I learned in the past, they come in groups. They're a little family of them. So there's actually 3 on the west side, and then there's 1 on the east side.
Yeah, so I sent it. Sorry.
The pictures do not show that.
We can
They
share.
only show.
Well, believe me, I was just out there. So, you're free to go out, take some pictures. The pictures I took this morning, I haven't emailed it to everyone. I just wanted to get the meeting started today, but there are 3 on the west and 1 on the east. And you're right, the pictures don't show that because it's hard to see. I had to go back, walk around, and look at all 3 of the stalks, and lo and behold, there were 3. What I am questioning, though...
I see 3, but I only see 2 that are conjoined.
Okay, and I just explained why. So, Mr. Burke and Mrs. Burke, I noticed on the bid that the forest guy, the tree service, had mentioned taking the ones on the west side. That's the 3 trees now that we've identified, a cluster, and then the one on the far right side, which would be east. And then there was some vague language about little trees in between. Do you know what I'm talking about?
We're primarily concerned with I'm going to call it the 3 trees on the east side.
Yeah.
And the 1 tree on the west side. I'm not so concerned about the other stuff.
Great. What I'm asking for is when the documentation is sent to us, sir, I want it to reflect the work they're doing. So if we give our permission, because all of those trees, I think, are on public property. And there's like 2 pine trees. Go ahead.
I'm happy to do that once I understand what my rights are within
Right.
the board. I guess I'm hopeful that you appreciate, I haven't made any decisions. I would probably go get some more bids. I have two different arborists which have been documented in the petition. One is Noah Stump and Grinding. The other is Couture Tree Service.
Yeah.
Both of them had the opinion that those trees do pose a risk and they're unhealthy. I, like you guys, am not an arborist, but I'm also not looking to change the landscape of Long Beach. Like most of you, I like trees as well. But I guess what I'm asking is, the arborists have the opinion. I suspect if we go talk to 5 different arborists, you probably could get different opinions from those arborists, just like if I happen to be an attorney, not that it's relevant, but if I've got a medical malpractice, I can get 3 different witnesses on the stand and they're going to testify differently. So the challenge that I have, appealing to the board is, I don't know how your decision is made. I don't know if there's any budget for the Long Beach to do something, or whether it's on my dime that I have to do it. And in the interim, real life kind of exists, and we're going to want to start selling our Chicago home and moving to Long Beach. I just hope that you have an appreciation that when there's only a monthly meeting and these issues come up, if you are the entity that approves or denies, I don't understand the process. I don't understand the budgeting. I don't know who has responsibility for what. So having said that, that's all I really wanted to mention. And now please ask me what you want and I'll try to give you whatever you need. But in essence, I'm looking to take the trees down because I have 2 arborists. So my builder is the one that went out and looked. He said, I think you should have some concern, but I'm going to have an arborist look at it. They gave me the opinion. I shared the opinion with you guys. I'm not an expert, but I do know that I'm going to try to build a nice place. And the last thing I want is a tree to fall on the house. And then with the 3 trees, they had mentioned that as you're pruning those trees back, as the utility company does that work or whoever does it, what's going to end up happening, and it's in the documentation, is the weight is going to start to transfer toward the lakeside, which as they trim it makes it an issue as well. Again, I'm not an arborist, but that was the opinion that I got.
Fair enough. And what I want to say is thank you for explaining that. From our side, here's what we think we're doing and we are trying to do. We're fact gathering. We're trying to hear what your request is, what your needs are. We've looked at the paperwork you've sent us. And then what we're going to do is take that information, we're still not done. We'll probably finish all the questions in a short order here.
Yep.
And some of them you've covered right now, but I want to clarify. Then you are absolutely correct, as has been stated. We don't have a budget. We're more of an advisory. In other words, the town council is not, they're welcome to, but they've got a lot of other things. So they've created this board and we're supposed to do all the fact finding and then render an opinion based on the facts and how we can support them with the facts. And we go to the town council ultimately with a recommendation. So that's kind of how it would go. At this point, we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. We talked about money. I'm not there yet. So I know what you're saying about the tree. There's the way I look at it, just at this point, just me, there's an inherent danger and an imminent danger. And you're right. None of us on this Zoom call are arborists. So we need to get an arborist out there. And that is one of the things we're going to recommend to the town council, is to allow us to get one that has what they call a level 2 tree risk assessment capability. There are like certified arborists. There's level 1, there's level 2, there's level 3. And from what I've read, they do very specific analysis of a tree to give us their opinion and why and what. You may say, well, we just had one. We're looking to hire an independent one. Okay. So
I have a question.
Mrs. Kroll, not right now, honey. Not
Okay.
now, please. So
Could you
That's-
just repeat for me
that's-
real quick? Did you call it a level 2 certified risk assessment?
yeah, level 2 certified tree risk assessment expert.
Okay, and if it's okay, what I would like to do, and I don't know, I'm gonna see if the notation that you have from, so this is, again, I'll follow the process that you're looking for. But
Okay.
again, my concern is, and I don't know, hypothetically, let's say Couture Tree, and I have no idea, has
The
level.
what? Say that last part again. I couldn't understand your words.
I said hypothetically, and I don't know the answer, so I will have to ask the builders who got the bid.
Yeah.
If Couture has level 2 certification tree risk assessment, and they have one opinion, and you go get somebody else and they have a different opinion, how does one make the decision as to how that happens?
Well, I suppose the way it works is like any other. We could either get a third opinion, which seems a little overkill, or that's why there's a board. Then it would be up to us to discuss it. And as I said, look at the facts of the matter, form an opinion, and then describe the basis for that opinion on the data that we have found.
And within the ordinance that you have,
Yes.
is there any commitment to the public in terms of a service level agreement as to how long those decisions are made? Because the reality is you guys have a meeting monthly.
Well, no, I heard you say that. And to address that, we can have an emergency meeting. We can arrange for an executive meeting. So right now it's a scheduled monthly meeting, but there's nothing preventing us, good people of goodwill, all local, that can get on Zoom and discuss it. Don't forget, the final decision is probably going to be made by the town council. We advise them, and they will make the decision.
Okay, thank you.
And yes, ma'am. Mrs. Burke, you want to say something?
And how often do they meet?
They meet the second Monday of every month. So they have a meeting coming up the second Monday in January. And I know I'm a little bit ahead of myself, but I plan on attending that and relating what we just talked about here with recommendations, hopefully. So, you'll be welcome to attend that. That's via Zoom. And I will go to the town council and present our findings here today.
Okay, thank you.
So just
Fair enough. Yes, ma'am. Go.
I just want to make sure I understand that. So it's possible we could have a final decision by the end of next week.
It's possible. I didn't say it's probable. I said it's possible. Okay. And the reason for that is I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to ask for. But it is possible.
Okay.
I understand you have a house in Chicago. I heard you say.
We actually been living in Long Beach for the past 7 years.
Okay.
We're moving permanently to Long Beach.
I guess what I was trying to get at for your benefit is you need to put something on the market.
That
Did
is
I hear?
that is 100% true. Yes, we've got.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to address and be sensitive to, that you guys don't have unlimited, as they say in law, time is of the essence. So,
Well, and beyond that, this is just for the tree board's knowledge, which you're probably all aware of. So when somebody is doing something within Long Beach, you also have to go through the permitting process to be able to do that. So there's lots of dominoes that need to fall. And as one domino is held up, the others can't move. So again, I'm not asking for any answers. I just want you to be aware of that issue.
that's a good point. And that was one of my questions. You were talking about permitting for building and construction, right? Just now?
Correct.
Above
So
and beyond our little permit.
Yeah, we're ideally going to be going through the permit process in February.
Okay.
So then you start all that work, right? And there's another house that's already been permitted. They've done things with trees and they've got a fence around it. So
Yeah, I know.
you gotta do, as you guys just know, there's a lot of complexity within that stuff.
Right.
And so we're appreciative you guys are volunteering. We understand the complexities you guys are going through to stand this up. In the interim, just you're going to learn a ton in the process.
Yeah.
We appreciate you're doing it, and we appreciate the fact that in a perfect world we could try to make a decision in January, and we understand that you're not committing to that.
Yeah, and that's why I say possible is less than 50%. Probable is greater. You attorneys taught me that. So, that's what I was saying. It's a possibility. And now that you've explained it, we can work toward that with you a little bit. Let me ask you this question, if I may. Will the construction permit have anything to do with the tree permit? Are they contingent? Are they linked?
I don't have an answer to that question. I don't think so. But again, keep in mind that there is the reality of stuff being there and being able to do what you need to do.
Right.
But I'm not the builder either, so I don't know the complexity.
Well, that's the permit. Because let me ask, this is my other question. This is winter. To my knowledge, people are not pouring concrete. Let me back up. Strike that. Are you doing a tear down?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to have to pour a foundation and start from scratch. There's not a whole lot of concrete being poured when it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit.
I agree with you, but you still have to do the bulldozing, and depending on the weather with climate change. And again, I don't have the answers.
Yeah. I'm trying to understand.
Right, but I'm just saying it's all probably going to be dependent on the weather and how warm it is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how the builder does it.
Okay.
I don't know. And I can tell you, 15 years ago, we built our Chicago house. They also have, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do, they have chemicals you can put into the cement now, which
Yeah.
allows you to do it under colder weather, but it's not.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Has your contractor said anything? Now we're off topic, but
Yeah, you're really off tangent here.
well, I want to hear the answer. So, because I want to know their time constraints and where are they? I don't see, Mr. Burke, are you there? Mr. and Mrs. Burke?
We're here.
Yep, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So has your contractor said they would be willing to consider pouring concrete in this kind of temperature range?
I asked that question to him. He said as early as April, they would be looking to do it.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out how quick we need to get back to you also and why,
I appreciate your asking the questions. I don't have the answers because, again, it's all going to be contingent on permitting too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They need.
And you're talking about construction permit
Correct.
when you say permitting, not the trees.
Correct.
They're not linked. Ellen
Correct.
Lynch.
I have a question.
Ellen,
So
go ahead.
I understand permits for building a house and everything, gone through the same thing, been here 5 years. You would be able to still get the permits for building your house. So what you're asking are these trees to be done, you don't want to build a house if it looks like a tree's going to fall on it.
That's correct.
Okay.
And we've had problems. Like we've had massive limbs already fall in our driveway. It's
Yeah. Fun Lake Drive too, and I went through the arborist thing and I ended up taking the trees down and they were wrong. So anyway, I just think that we need to make the decision for the trees so you can go on with your building because you don't want to build a house that the tree's going to fall on.
Yeah.
And you never know it. And if you are on the lake, you get unbelievable winds. I mean, it's amazing what those winds can move. So it's not your typical tree in the middle of Long Beach.
Yeah,
It's
just
on the
one more point of evidence, and I didn't get a written quote. I called the person 3 times, but the person that took down some of the trees at the next door neighbors, that's the NOAA. It's on the permit. NOAA.
Yeah.
I asked him to write me something as well so that I could forward it to you. He didn't do it. But his statement to me, and he did say he's an arborist. He said trees should have come down years ago. Again,
I read that in your report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question then is, where's Jane?
My question was, Dr.
U.S.
In that we were going to hire an additional arborist, a level 2 arborist, to look at these trees. And I'm unaware that the tree board discussed this, let alone voted on it. So was this an arbitrary decision on your part?
I just brought it up at this meeting. This is where it's brought up.
Okay, so are we going to vote on it or?
Well, we're
is it
still
fait
discussing
accompli?
that. Yeah, it's not a fait accompli. It's a topic of discussion. Ellen, I saw your
But
hand
I
up.
just think, I understand the level 1 and 2 and 3, and you would definitely want a level 2 or level 3 for a tree, a lake. And that's someone that's gonna know all the environment that this tree is in, plus what the tree can withstand, you know, by looking at its limb and what's falling off and if it's
And the
disease.
topic of disease, what we want these people to look at is the tree viable? Is it healthy? Does it have disease? Again, I go back to that concept of, inherent danger versus imminent danger. I think any tree has inherent danger. But are we saying these trees are sick? Are we saying there's some disease? That's the kind of thing I would want to hear from a level 2 inspection by a certified arborist.
Would it be helpful to the board, and again, I don't know the answer, for me to check with Couture and see if they've got level 2 certified tree risk assessment?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because I did look at their website, and it does say licensed and insured and certified. But again, certified is like a top level, and then underneath it are subcategories of risk. Yeah.
You guys do it. However you run your process. It sounds like it's not totally defined, but I have a philosophy in life. My job's to make other people's jobs easier. So you do what you want with it, but I'm just going to see if they happen to be.
Yeah, no, I think any input like that would be relevant. Let's put it that way. Now, to go back to this other issue of, you guys have an arborist, I get an arborist, somebody else gets an arborist, pretty soon it's, arborists facing off. Well, what we're talking about here is 2 concepts, an independent opinion. And then the second one is that this is a municipal, we don't know yet. We're going to talk about that next, the funding. But this is a municipal job. And I kind of understand it as we're supposed to get 3 bids on a municipal job. Now, we may not be able to get, not bids, evaluations, consultations. We may only be able to get 1 approved by the town council or none. I don't know yet, but we have to offer that as an option because I think you need more than 1 bid for a municipal job.
So quick question, Dr. Uez.
Yeah.
My question is, if you're paying for that, right? If the municipality is paying for it, then that makes sense to me. If you guys don't have budget and you're not paying for it, then I don't understand why you would need bids. It's potentially out of my.
We don't know who's paying for it. As we sit here right now, that part of the conversation is a little bit ahead of me. My next question is, this is a $15,000 tree service bid.
Just so you guys know, I have 2 quotes, one for $15,000, one for $15,700. And the other gentleman gave me a number that was lower than that. So just like you guys would do in your own lives, I'm not just going to take a bid and do it. I would be getting, quotes from other people. But again, that's the question. I'll wait for your response. But the question is, if there's no budget from the municipality to do something with the trees, and I'm supportive of the tree board, then why do you go through the process if there's not a budget for the municipality?
I didn't say there's no budget in the municipalities. That's a different definition, sir. And I know as an attorney, because you said you were. That's okay. I like calling you attorney. It's kind of fun. I like sparring with you guys. So what it comes down to is that the town would be the funder. In other words, if we do anything over $500, we have to go to the town council for approval. This is clearly over $500. And so we're going to go to them and say, we recommend XYZ. And they would be the one, if that's the decision that we render here, when I present it to them as to who's footing the bill, they would be the one to write the check. The tree board doesn't have check writing ability. You're correct. But the town does. The municipality does. And within a municipality, a subcategory is the little tree board. And that's what we're trying to decide is with you, what's the fair thing to do here? So, no, but we're not asking you to foot the bill for a second arborist. If that crossed your mind, that's not what we're talking about.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just trying to, and again, I appreciate you guys are defining the process.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
And Annabelle, can I
Yes, ma'am.
just add, that's why it's important that we are able to present the town council with sufficient facts over the danger posed by these trees. You have an opinion that you've presented to us from an arborist or two, or just somebody in conversation who said, oh, those trees should have come down a long time ago, or these trees do pose a risk. All trees shed branches, mine do, and I have them maintained by an arborist here in town, and still during windy weather, they shed branches. But it's important that we be able to give the town council a real risk assessment, because nobody wants to leave dangerous trees falling on your house.
Yeah,
The town doesn't, right? We don't. But it's
sorry.
It's also important if as I understand it, if a resident wants to trim back trees that belong to the town, right? There's a process to assess that, and the resident can pay the arborist to trim branches away from their home. But if it is trees that belong to the town and it is certified that they pose a risk to someone's property and therefore safety, then the town would pay for the removal of the trees. So I think we're at a juncture where, as Dr. Yuhas said 30 minutes ago, we're fact-finding as best we can, because that's our mission, to present to the town council somebody who is an expert, their assessment to the danger that these trees pose, if any, and what can be done to mitigate that danger. And if the mitigation is trim, then potentially the town could pay for it, or you could pay for it. But if the opinion is they pose such a danger that they should be removed and they are town trees, it's very likely that then the town has to allocate funds to do that. So we're just still putting all the facts together so someone can make a decision. What's the right course of action? Nobody's saying your arborist isn't correct, but we have to take that justification to the town council so that they can make a decision what the proper course of action is, and then the decision who pays for it. If you are confident in what you've learned, then it should ultimately end up being that the town has to have the trees removed at their expense. And they may choose not to do it with your $15,700 bid, but that may be where it ends up. But right now, all these questions are just so that we have enough facts. We can't just send your paperwork in and say, here's a $15,000 bill, town council and Dr. LeMay, just approve this.
Totally.
Right? We have to justify. As a lawyer, you know what the process is. Answer these 10 questions and justify the result you want.
Pat, the other thing is that, and I'm sorry, I know you want I just cut you off, but let me just imagine me going to the town council on the second Monday of January and saying, these nice people are moving, they're doing a tear down, they're rebuilding, it's going to be beautiful, and they want to take these cottonwood stand on the west side and a single cottonwood tree on the right side, and what is the cost? Oh, it's $15,000. I know the board is going to ask a lot of questions. One time we just wanted to get an arborist.
Can I ask something? Wouldn't the board at that point take it upon itself to take down those trees any way they want to?
What?
Why would they have to use your arborist?
Guys, can I please ask a question?
Yeah, please.
I want to foreshadow something that would be a concern of mine if I was on the tree board or if I was in the town council.
Yeah.
I believe this is the second meeting. This is the first time it's come up. Once this information becomes more public and people learn that the town of Long Beach may allocate budget toward taking down trees, my suspicion is you're going to have a pretty slippery slope of a lot of people calling into the tree board to take things down. So I think end objective of the tree board should be to work with the town council to see if there's going to be a line item in the budget to take trees down or to beautify. And then your job becomes to prioritize what gets beautified or what gets taken down. But my concern for the tree board is if there's not a budget allocated to all this stuff, it's going to be really, really crazy for you guys as a bunch of people start calling and say, hey, we just found out at 1302, you gave X $1,000 and they paid the rest. So that's my only.
That's that is basically why we seem to be here, or we exist as a board. I think it's kind of to be gatekeepers, because in the past it was kind of a free for all, and people wanted trees down because of view, and it's always the trees of danger. And I understand it's important. Public safety is paramount, the first thing. But yeah, we're supposed to be the ones that, as gatekeepers, we go out and collect the information. Whether they get a line item going, I think their budget is closed for a while, so I don't know. But it's something to consider.
And that's something I would ask you to consider. If there is no budget and it's going to fall, if it's going to fall on me, then I can go look at the arborists and you can say, is there beautification? One thing I would like for the record, imagine your car in that driveway, go look at the branch that you have a picture of.
We saw it, yeah.
All I'm just saying is that's factual. Now, whether the whole tree should come down or it should get majorly trimmed, I'm not an arborist.
That's a good point. That's what I want.
To your point, that is an imminent danger. That is if my kid's in the driveway, if my car's in the driveway, if somebody's walking by and looking at the property, somebody's doing construction, that is a factual piece of evidence. If somebody was standing in that driveway, they would either be dead or you would have a car that would be significantly damaged. So I would like you to keep that into consideration as well. I understand wanting to keep trees and beautification and all that, but factually speaking, there's a massive branch that's sitting there.
Okay, we haven't said that, beautification. We've said the first priority is public health. The second thing I do want, you brought it up, and I want to ask you, did you have any discussion or get any information from the tree service about trimming? Because I don't know what the status of the branch that came down, and I don't know if these trees were ever managed. So has anybody?
I have no information on that. I don't even know when the branch fell, but it's fallen within the last, say, month.
All right. So we really can't say as an alternative that the tree could be looked at by an arborist who could say, I'm just hypothetically here, yeah, the tree could stay, but we see a lot of branches lower down that need to come down and make it safer. That's the other thing we don't. That's the other piece, because somebody at the town council may say, well, have you looked at just, taking dead branches out and seeing what the arborist says about that?
So again, another piece of evidence from the arborist was that the tree on the east side that has the 3 trees,
it's on the west side.
Actually, they're the west side.
Okay, my apologies. So on the west side, again, you guys have that information.
Yeah, it's not relevant. It's
There's only 3 minutes, so I'm going to go into quiet mode and you guys do what you need to do. My understanding is that you'll take a look at this. There'll be something at the town council and
don't leave yet. Mm-hmm. Don't leave.
No, I'm not leaving.
You're 2 minutes and 3 minutes.
You said
no, in 3 minutes. Problem A is off in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that what this darn thing says?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if somebody else's account.
We had an hour.
Let me ask Mr. Burke this question. Who do you believe should pay for this? What's your position?
I don't think it's a fair question to be honest, Dr. Uaz. I mean, if the town had the budget and they were doing what they're supposed to do, according to the Stan, those things would have been taken out a long time ago. At a minimum, I think that they would have been trimmed.
Trimmed back, at least.
So in a perfect world, I'm paying taxes. I'm going to be paying property taxes. I'm going to be paying state taxes. That should be a service that the town does. So I don't think it's a fair question to ask me.
Well, they might ask me. What do I say?
Well,
when they say, Dr. Uaz, are they paying for this? Because that's where it gets real. And, I don't know what your
But that's the point to me. If the reality is there's no budget and it's going to fall on me, and I mean this as diplomatically as I can, then what is the purpose of going through the entire process when in essence there's no budget to do anything and it all
You keep
falls on me?
saying that, and I keep saying that there is money in the town council.
Yeah. But you just asked me the question of who should pay for it, the town council or me. So my answer would be the town council.
Okay, yeah, that's what I need to present your position when I go to the town council. As I said, they're the ones that write the checks.
Yep.
So, all right. So we know that. And I don't know what they're going to say, but I promise you I will present it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And I hope you guys come. You know, there's nothing more fun than these Zoom meetings. It's just, Jane Kroll. Jane Kroll.
Council is going to say no because they don't have the money.
Yeah, I don't know the status of their budget. I really don't.
I think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered.
We know the
And-
status of their spending, and their spending on matters of this. They will say no.
Okay, well, we'll see what they
I'll-
say. I'm not going to prognosticate. I'm going to promise to present our discussion to the town council, and I invite the homeowners to be there because they will hopefully have a chance to speak up as well. But, you know, until we had this meeting tonight, I really didn't know what the situation was. Now I've learned a lot more, you know, about when they plan on building and how they're going to build and, you know, what they want. And just to clarify, Mr. and Mrs. Burke, the trees in between the cottonwood trees are not going to be part of the work that they're doing.
I don't think it really matters because those trees, I think, are going to be on our property. So
I don't know. Okay. All right.
And to be honest, I have no idea. I mean, I just, my concern is the big tree. I'm being genuinely honest. I have no idea. I haven't even looked at the other trees, to be honest. But I just know that the builder said, holy crap, those are big trees.
Wait.
I wouldn't want
Yeah,
those trees.
I just want to say, because if we give a permission, we want to know what we're permitting.
My interpretation, in my opinion, is
Yes, ma'am.
it is only based on the cottonwood trees that we've been discussing this entire time. The smaller trees that are possibly ours, possibly the town's, I have no idea. That is not in question. In my personal opinion, we will.
It's on the paperwork.
It's his opinion was there were other trees that could be
Okay.
considered, but that is not what we're here for today. We're here about.
No, I know that. I just need, you know, contracts are what they say. They're as good as what they're written. And what he wrote down was the cottonwood trees, grind the stump, and then the smaller trees, you know.
Understood. But keep in mind, that may not even be the people that we use. I would like, if
No, I know that. I know.
Got it.
So that's why we're hashing this out. We're going to be kind of your representatives when we go to the town and hopefully present what we just learned here. Who had a hand up?
Janice Brown.
Yes, Janice.
One of the things, and I do not know this for Indiana, but in Illinois, the certification for the arborist is based on a single person that makes the assessment, and they type the disease, if it's diseased tree, all of that will need to be documented. And my question would be on level 2 and level 3 in Indiana, is it by the company that you hire or the individual that has the certification for level 1, 2, and 3? So to Mr. and Mrs. Burke, your comment about you have these opinions, but we don't know if it's by a person who has been certified level 2 or 3, we're going to go, or if it's the NOAA tree service that has a certification. And like
Janice,
I said, that's Illinois versus Indiana.
Janice
I'm
Brown,
very versed in
I just
Illinois.
went online and I looked up some Indiana tree certified arborists, and they will tell you, like within a company, they will tell you the names of the individuals within the company that are certified and level 2. That's out there, thank heavens.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we could get that nailed down. Who else has any comments?
Yeah, I have one comment. I think, may I suggest, this is a far review. Why don't you mutually agree with the both parties, you know, some company who's reasonable, already certified, and mutually agreed and pick that company and give whoever's providing these services and professional, and then agree to that company, and they can give the honest and independent opinion, and which can be binding on both the party. Instead of one person get one, the other one get the second one, then it got the third one, and end up in a dispute. And if you agree to, from the very beginning, I think that will solve the problem.
Right. Thank you, Zafar. Anyone else have any comments? Zafar, is that your hand still up? Who's got a hand up?
I'm trying to get my hands down. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, it's under reactions on the far right on the bottom.
Sure.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions or comments for Mr. and Mrs. Burke? Mr. and Mrs. Burke, do you have anything that we haven't touched upon?
No, we appreciate your volunteering and look forward to hearing.
All right. Yeah, I think the next step is we will go to the town council. You guys hopefully will be there. We'll be there. And sir, ma'am?
We didn't know the information of when the town council meeting is.
It's second Monday of the month at 7 p.m. If you go, I'll send you the link too, because I have your email now. But if you go to the town council website, and then you find, it's a little bit hard to find stuff, but you go to town council, they'll give you the link for Zoom, the whole page, with the goodies. And, if the board agrees or thinks that we need a executive meeting or an emergency meeting after the town council, we can arrange that. We're not trying to drag your feet and ours. I understand, trying to build a new house is stressful enough. And then to get hung up on trees is, kind of tough. Where are you, Jane? I don't see you, but I see your hand.
I'm here. I want to know what the tree board is going to present to the town council next Monday.
Yes, we haven't discussed all of this, so I think we need to meet again.
I don't. Yeah.
Going in front of the town council, what is our position?
Okay, hang on a second.
We need to meet.
We need to meet,
Okay,
Yes.
if we need to meet,
just a tree board.
it has to be an executive session, and I'm not sure, because I think that has to be posted online for people to be able to attend. Open door law kind of thing. Jan, do you happen to know if
But
we have?
executive sessions were closed.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Do they need to be posted as a closed meeting? I've seen the town. I've seen the town council post
There's
theirs.
executive meetings that are open, I believe, but I don't know off the top of my head whether a board can hold an executive meeting without it being posted and without it being held publicly. I think the open door law always requires us to allow public access, but by the same token, I think we've now gone past our hour, and I don't know why we haven't been kicked off yet.
We will be, I'm sure.
But I'm sure we will be. But I do think that we need to, in order to present this issue to the town council on Monday, we need to be able to meet in some type of session. And it really shouldn't matter whether it's public or not. It probably needs to be posted. But we need to have a discussion so that we have our ducks in order and have all of the answers prepared that the town council might have. The Burkes have a time constraint or a time issue. They've asked us to expedite this, and I think we need to all meet so that we all can hash out how we present this to the board.
What, can I ask? So we want to go to the board. Why? I know that you've gotten these bids. What exactly is wrong with the tree? Besides the fact the branches are falling out, does it have a disease? Do we have all that information to give the board?
No.
Is it disease?
It talks about disease.
Yeah.
In the from the arborist that the Burkes have.
I think it says it can get a disease from the open part. Okay.
Right.
Let me just say this, rather than, and I'm going to throw this out as a thought, rather than another meeting and going through all of this, and we don't have the Burks there, why don't we just kind of agree to this? My thought was to go to the town council on that Monday meeting and simply say, the party that owns 1302 wants to take down these two stands of cottonwoods. They feel it's a health and safety issue. They have an arborist that agrees with that position. The cost is $15,000. They believe that the town should pay for that. And my proposal, because I have an ask. My ask is going to be, can I have the funding for a independent arborist to give an independent level 2 risk assessment arborist to come out and also give an opinion about the trees? That's it.
Okay,
Is that
in the
fair?
assessment from, yes, in the assessment from the Burke arborist, point 2 says tree on north side of the house. That area of the trunk has some decay that will never completely heal over and will continue to create a cavity toward the base of the tree.
Yes, I read that. It's not an
There is
illness.
also stress due to the surrounding asphalt concrete, the structure of the home, which is putting this tree in somewhat of a planter box and could be the start of ruts are being constructed on growth. I mean, there's definite evidence of decay and
There is one
tree
portion.
not being viable.
Okay, one portion of the tree, about 8 to 10 feet off the ground, the tree on the east has an open area that looks like it might have been a trunk that was cut a while ago. I want to know if the tree is diseased and if it's viable. Mr. and Mrs. Burke, what I said as a summary just now, did that seem fair to you?
Your summary is fine. I'm going to ask that arborist if they are level 2 certified. I'll get back to you on that. I will ask them if they can give any more of a opinion as to whether there's disease or there's not disease.
Yes, that's
and
critical.
What their opinion is as to the potential risk and hazard for public safety with regard to the trees. I don't have the answer.
Can you ask him this? Can you ask him if there's any way to trim the limbs to make the tree? Oh, by the way, you know that part about the utilities will come in on one side and then trim it and it weighs more towards the house. I've got to be honest with you. There aren't any utility lines on the north side of the street. They're all on the south side. I went and because I read that in your bid and I looked at it and I encourage everyone to go look. The tree is way above it. There's nothing that looks like NIPSCO would come in and, start hacking at the tree.
You're on the beach side of the.
Okay, there's a north side and there's a south side. The
Yeah,
power lines, Ellen,
I'm
are
on the
on the
dry
south
side.
side.
Everything's on this side.
But
Outside.
the power lines go from the south side to the north side. So there are power lines that
Not by the
connect
trees.
house that are on the north side of the house. So there are power lines.
There are no power
This is
lines
all-
on the north side.
There are.
Yes, there are. They
cross the road.
They go,
They're
they
either-
cross the
okay.
road, they go house to house.
We're done. We're done with that because we're going in circles. I encourage everyone to go out and take a look at it because I have to move it along before I get booted off Zoom. So
I know.
what?
Because
may I-
is
Okay.
at stop 16 in front of the CJ Dempsey house, and those lines have been impacted by tree limbs falling on them.
All right.
So
When we
it's
get
not
the
their
arborist
lines, it's
out, we
connected
will
out.
have him look at it. Jan, you were going to say something?
I was only going to say, I really, now we're kind of going in circles.
Yeah, we
over
are.
things
That's why.
an arborist or a photographer can answer for us. We are a fact-finding group, but I do want to assure the Burkes that if you get this further information, we can present that to the town council. We don't have to get their particular answer right away, but Dr. Uhas has the authority to give them the facts we have gathered to date. And if you have further information that we can present, they may decide that your arborist opinion is sufficient for them to proceed on.
Yeah, we don't
That's
know what they're going
entirely
to say.
possible. right? They may say, we don't need to spend another $500. We'll rely on this opinion. Here's the direction we want to go. And I do want to assure you that the town has money. When you're a taxpayer, I'm a taxpayer too. I sold my Chicago house and moved into this house I've owned for 30 years and came here full-time last year, just like you intend to do, because we all love Long Beach. We love Long Beach because it's a wonderful place. It's like living in a town in the 50s. And the town council is going to do the right thing, I believe. We just need to give them the information. And if you get further answers, get them to us.
We appreciate it.
Nobody wants to cause any risk or harm or hurt anybody's car, let alone their kids or them. But there has to be a sufficient justification for a municipality as small as Long Beach is, because we don't have unlimited funds, to expend $15,000. Because you're absolutely right. Everybody could line up and want their trees.
Real quick, and I don't know how much it impacts it. I just went on to Google Maps. I looked at I think, Janice, I think you're talking, but we don't hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm not muted, but I am running on a battery. I'm down to 5%.
I could hear Pat.
Just real quick, if you go look, I just looked at Google Maps. I didn't have a picture myself.
Right.
There is a wire that goes from the non-lake side to the lake side. Now, how that impacts the tree, I have no idea.
Well, it depends on how far away it is from your property. There's a connection. There is a connection. There's a tree post, not a tree post, a power post by the east. It's on my picture. But that wire goes directly south, and then the wire is parallel. You know what? We're arguing reality here. Like it just this. When we get an opinion from a tree guy, then we'll ask them about how likely NIPSCO is going to come out and trim those trees. That's very, we're spending time arguing where the wires are. They're out there. We just can't go see them tonight because it's dark. Yes, ma'am.
I have one question. This is more based on process, and this is just because I've been stuck in this situation. As far as meeting with the board next week, you have to, and this is just me curious because I've gotten stuck here. Do you need to make a formal request to be heard ahead of time, or can you just show up and talk about this? Because I don't want you guys to fall behind the 8 ball on this.
No, here's what I'm going to do. I talked to Town Council President Dr. LeMay yesterday.
Okay.
And the reason I did that was there was something else that came up not related to this board. I think it was related to the Zoom link. And I asked him, how does this work out financially? And, who's going to pay for it? And he said, you know what, get the information and get back to me. And after your meeting, which is now, and they'll put us on the agenda. They'll put me on the agenda. So then they give me like maybe 5 minutes to state my case. If there's interest for more information, they'll shoot questions at me and cross-examine me. And then, now you guys, do you want to be on the agenda? I don't know if you can do that, because
we're fine. You can
speak in public comment. They've been giving people 2 minutes. I mean, the public can. Yeah.
For what Ms. Roberts said, listen, we're trying to do the right thing too. I'm not trying to take trees down just to take trees down.
I know that.
I will ask I'm a guy that got a law school degree. I don't practice law. I do management at a different company. I don't know a lot about trees. We'll try to get you more facts. Going through the process, I understand now you're looking for more specific stuff. I was trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
You want more specific stuff? I'll try to get you anything as specific as I can, and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yes.
I mean, it won't be the end if the board, has more questions or things that they want to say or do. We'll go back. I'll go back, keep going back and pestering them because, I think I'm allowed to pick up the phone and talk to Dr. LeMay as one-on-one. So, it's not over.
Think if you can use a Zoom, you should be able to call.
Yeah. Well, these open door laws are nutty, but, he was pretty amenable to chatting yesterday, and that was very nice. So, But we
I
just
think
want to,
there
I
is
want to
a-
represent this case fairly. That's my, you know, at this point, it's very dicey because we are also making a decision about public health and safety, and it's not lost on me. And, you know,
Well, I understand you have constituents that are going to have differences of opinion on what happened, so you need to kind of dot your i's and cross your t's because people are going to have different points of view. I understand that as well.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
There are the point of view, as Anita brought up earlier, that the Cottonwoods provide a stormwater relief for the city, and stormwater utility is a big issue. There are lots of things that need to be balanced out environmentally as well as
erosion. You know, you guys know this.
erosion too.
Mr. and Mrs. Burke, you know about the erosion on the lakefront and the waves, although you have a nice foredune there, as I recall. If I'm not mistaken, you got a pretty good barrier from the lake, but that's been a big deal.
Yep.
Right.
All right. Is there anything else anybody else would like to add or ask or make a statement or a speech or?
Anita has
It's
her.
Anita Ramages. A couple last comments. One, thank you, Janice. Park Board has worked for years and years with residents about trees on public property. So I don't think that there's going to be a line of people who will find out now that there's money available in the budget. We have worked for years with the residents and getting tree issues taken care of, including CJ Dempsey, who has worked well with the Park Board. Two, if people are going to be residents, there is a town website called longbeachinn.org where you can find out about all the meetings, and it's not at all difficult to navigate. So longbeachinn.org. Mr. and Mrs. Burke, if you're going to be living here or just even part-time as I was for a long time, you can get email alerts from the town and sign up for them, and you can find out. I just put all the meetings for the year in my calendar. Number three, the town is in very good financial shape. So I think that the mention of the council saying absolutely not, they're not going to pay because of any financial issues was somewhat inappropriate. And I think if all the documentation is presented, both pro and con, and it may not happen. I don't see it happening on Monday just because I've gone through this with the arborists. So please, you know, the tree board, as the park board does, usually presents both sides of the issues, has a couple of arborists, and, you know, good luck with it, but those are just my comments. Thank you.
I'm going to keep it simple with the town council. They don't need to go through all of this discussion, decision-making, and fact-finding. It'll be there. I've been here. I've been listening. My biggest ask is going to be to move this along is to get permission to fund for an arborist and for a second opinion from a level 2 certified risk assessment arborist. That's where I'm going with that because, as Anita said, they're not going to make a final decision likely at this point. But if we can get an arborist out, that might be the rate limiting factor because they're busy. They're hard to get out. They're deer hunting or whatever they're doing. So please understand, I will go and present this, but that's what I'm going to ask.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
You guys are all right. Anybody else have any other comments? Questions? I don't want to cut anyone off. Zafar, are you still there? He may have left already. I don't see his little name up there. All right. So in that case, that's it for my list of things to do today. We even went through board member comments just now. We kind of melded it in with Mr. and Mrs. Burke. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Mr. and
you.
Mrs. Burke, if you want to give me your phone number and the email, you know,
Yeah, I'll send it.
because I'm a big fan of the telephone rather than typing.
I'm with you.
Yeah, my typing skills are not too great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. When do you guys? Well, you don't know. You're here in town now, though, right?
We're in Chicago right now. We had a place, we sold it. Now we're looking to come permanently, and it all is contingent on when
Everything.
it can be ready.
Yeah. When do you hope the whole thing will be done? You know, built and moved summer?
March of 23.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go build a house, especially with the supply chain issues. That's a minimum.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. It's kind of a rough time, but wow, good luck.
We wish you luck.
Yeah, and welcome to Long Beach.
Things can change.
And you're all invited to have a beer on the deck when we're finally done.
Oh, yeah.
We'll watch a beautiful sunset together.
Or wine, we don't discriminate.
Okay.
And I'll bring my inflatable alligator to go swimming.
All right.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Log off. Everybody logs off, then I'll end the meeting, and I know we're done.